Every morning, a chicken lays an egg. You crack it into a pan without thinking. You've done it hundreds of times. It feels as natural as the sun rising. But here's the thing, the sun rising is exactly why something is very wrong. Go outside right now and find any wild bird. A sparrow, a robin, a finch. Look for their eggs. You won't find any. Not today. Not in autumn. Not in winter. Not most of the year. Because wild birds only lay eggs in spring. That is the natural rule. That is what every bird on Earth is programmed to do. Except one. The chicken. The chicken lays every single day, 300 times a year. Without pause, without season, without spring. And for most of your life, you never asked why. Most people assume it's just how chickens are. But that's not even close to the truth. The real answer is that the chicken you see today is not a natural animal. It is the result of one of the longest biological experiments in human history. A 10,000-year project to break a bird's brain. And here is the part that should make you pause. The same forces that were used to break the chicken have been quietly used on you. Stay till the end of this video, because the last part will change how you look at your own body. Let's start with the wild bird. Because to understand what happened to the chicken, you first need to understand the system that was destroyed. Every wild bird on the planet is wired to a clock. Not a clock you can see, a biological clock built into its brain. And that clock runs on light. As winter ends, the days get longer. More hours of sunlight hit the earth. The bird's eye picks up that extra light. It sends a signal to the brain. The brain signals a gland called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus fires up the pituitary. The pituitary releases a hormone. That hormone travels through the blood. It reaches the ovaries, and the ovaries wake up. The bird starts building eggs. This system has a name. Scientists call it photoperiodism, the ability of a living thing to measure the length of the day and respond to it biologically. It is one of the oldest survival systems on Earth. Wild birds don't just lay in springs by accident, they lay in spring because spring is the only safe time to lay. More food, warmer air, less risk of freezing eggs, more insects for the chicks to eat when they hatch. The bird's body times reproduction to match survival. It is perfect biological logic, built over millions of years of evolution. And then humans came along. About 10,000 years ago, somewhere in Southeast Asia, humans caught a wild bird. It was called the Red Junglefowl. Gallus. Small, fast, aggressive. It looked vaguely like a chicken, because it was the original chicken. In the wild, the red junglefowl laid roughly 10 to 15 eggs per year, only in the breeding season, only when the light was right, exactly like every other bird. Early humans didn't want 15 eggs a year. They wanted more, so they started selecting. When a female bird laid more eggs than usual, they kept her. When she laid fewer, she was replaced. Over generations, the birds that were naturally more sensitive to food and less sensitive to light were bred forward. The birds that laid even slightly out of season were kept alive. Their offspring were kept. Their offspring's offspring. On and on. For thousands of years. This process has a name. Artificial selection. It is evolution, but with humans holding the controls. And the results were extraordinary. By the time of ancient Egypt, chickens were already a domesticated staple. By the Roman Empire, Romans were writing about prolific egg-laying hens. Columella, a Roman agricultural writer around 60 AD, recorded that a good hen should lay 300 eggs a year. 300 from 15. In 10,000 years, humans increased a bird's egg production by 20 times. But here is the fascinating part. They didn't do it by teaching the bird anything. They did it by quietly dismantling its brain. The photoperiodism system, the ancient light-measuring clock that told wild birds when spring had arrived. They bred that sensitivity out. Slowly. Invisibly. Over millennia. The modern chicken is not a chicken that adapted to lay more. It is a chicken that lost the ability to stop. Let that land. The wild bird lays in spring because its brain detects the right amount of light. The modern chicken lays year-round because its brain no longer responds to light the same way. The switch was turned off, and here is where it gets truly strange, because even today, the switch is not completely gone. Imagine you are working on a commercial egg farm. It is 3 in the morning. The barn is lit up like an office, bright fluorescent lights flooding every corner. The hens are awake, moving, eating, laying. You look outside. It is pitch black. Winter. 4 in the morning. The hens do not know, because the lights say otherwise. Commercial egg farms use artificial lighting to maintain 14 to 16 hours of light every day. They do this on purpose, because even in modern chickens, light still plays a role. If you put a modern hen in complete darkness for long enough, she will slow down. Her egg production will drop. The ancient wiring is still there, just buried under 10,000 years of selective breeding. The farms don't trust the sun, so they built a fake one. And it works. It works because the chicken's brain still responds to light. It just takes much more of it to trigger the brakes now. The accelerator is stuck, but the brake still faintly exists. And this detail, this one detail about light and brains and manufactured seasons, is where your story begins. Now, here is something that most people do not know about birds, something that will reframe everything. Birds do not just see light through their eyes. They sense it through their skull. Inside a bird's brain, there are photoreceptors, light-sensitive cells buried deep inside the brain tissue. Not in the eyes, in the brain itself. When sunlight hits a bird's head, some of it passes through the thin skull bones, and those deep brain receptors detect it directly. This was confirmed by researchers studying sparrows and quails decades ago. Scientists actually blinded birds, covered their eyes completely, and still, with enough light hitting their heads, the reproductive system activated, because the brain was seeing the light without the eyes. Think about what this means. A bird's entire reproductive cycle is controlled by light sensors embedded in its own brain. The brain is watching the sky, always, waiting for the right season. The modern chicken's brain still has these sensors, they are just harder to trigger. The threshold has been moved, but they are there, watching and waiting. So what happens inside the egg itself? Because most people think of egg laying as simple. Bird makes egg, done. But the process is extraordinary. Once the hen's body decides to produce an egg, it takes roughly 24 to 26 hours to complete. First, the yolk forms in the ovary. It takes about 10 days for a yolk to fully develop. Then it is released. It travels down the oviduct. In the first section, the albumin forms, the white of the egg. It wraps around the yolk in layers, then comes the membrane, then the shell. The shell alone takes about 20 hours to form. Calcium is pulled from the hen's own bones to build it. Every single day, 300 days a year. A modern laying hen is continuously mining her own skeleton to produce eggs. Her body is under constant, extraordinary metabolic stress. A wild red junglefowl would never experience this. Her body gets months of rest, months to replenish calcium, to recover, to reset. The modern hen gets almost none. She was not designed for this. She was redesigned for it, against every instinct her ancestors carried. But here is what's fascinating. The story does not end with the chicken, because humans did not just change the chicken changed humans. For most of human history, eggs were a seasonal food. Spring came, birds laid, humans ate. Winter came, birds stopped, humans went without. The rhythm of food matched the rhythm of nature, and the human body adapted to that rhythm. We ate more in summer. We ate differently in winter. Our bodies followed cycles. Seasonal patterns in metabolism, in energy, in mood. Researchers studying traditional populations today still find remnants of this. In communities living close to nature, human metabolism measurably shifts between summer and winter. Hormone levels change, sleep patterns change. The human body, like the wild bird, was built to read the seasons. But then the chicken stopped being seasonal, and eggs became a year-round food. And then electric light arrived, and the seasons disappeared entirely. Think about your life right now. What time did you go to sleep last night? Was it dark outside, or were you staring at a glowing screen until midnight? Your brain contains a gland called the pineal gland. It produces melatonin. Melatonin is your body's darkness signal. When light disappears, the pineal gland releases melatonin. It tells your body it is nighttime. It adjusts your temperature, your hormones, your immune activity. It prepares you for deep, restorative sleep. But artificial light blocks melatonin, even the blue light from your phone screen. Your pineal gland sees the glow of a screen at 11 p.m. and thinks the sun is still up. Melatonin stays suppressed. Your seasonal signals blur. Your body cannot tell summer from winter, day from night. And this is where the chicken and you converge. The chicken was placed under artificial lights so it would never feel winter, never feel the darkness that triggers its natural pause. It lays and lays and lays, because the lights say it must. You are placed under artificial lights so you never feel true darkness. Never feel the extended nights that trigger your natural slowdown. You stay up, and stay up, and stay up, because the screens say you can. The wild bird's brain is watching the sky. Your brain is watching the ceiling, and neither of you gets to follow the rhythm you were built for. There is even a name for what happens when humans lose their light cycle. Seasonal affective disorder, a documented drop in mood, energy, motivation, and sleep quality during the darker months. It affects hundreds of millions of people. Researchers believe it is the body trying to follow a seasonal rhythm, trying to slow down, trying to rest, but our artificial world does not allow it. So the signal fires and gets ignored, and the system strains. Now, zoom out. 10,000 years ago, humans took a wild bird. They wanted more from it than nature was offering, so they changed it. Slowly, patiently, over generations. They tuned out the light signals, they pushed the body past its natural limits. They made it produce constantly, and they surrounded it with artificial light to keep it going. The result was extraordinary productivity, 300 eggs a year from an animal built for 15. But the cost was a body under permanent metabolic stress, a system running without the rest it was built for. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you truly rested? Not sleep. Rest. When was the last time you felt a season change and slowed down with it? When was the last time your evenings were actually dark? When was the last time your body decided the pace instead of your schedule? The chicken cannot answer that question. Its ability to decide was bred away, but you still have yours. The wild bird stops when the light tells it to, it rests, it recovers, it waits for spring, and when spring comes, it gives everything it has. You were built on the same blueprint, same light sensors, same seasonal wiring, same need for the dark. The chicken forgot spring because humans took it away. You are forgetting it because you never noticed it was missing. The egg in your pan every morning did not come for free. It came at the cost of a creature that lost its seasons. The question is whether you have already done the same thing to yourself, without anyone even asking your permission.